Part 81. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 802. Teacher, you came just in time. The Lord of Ghost Valley frowned. This guy doesn't look like he can kill you. He could feel that the aura in this middle-aged man's body was very thin. The cultivation base can barely enter the psychic realm, but it has a lifespan of thousands of years. But the fighting power is almost nothing. And his precious apprentice can tear down his ghost valley with just a drink, so it's impossible to be overwhelmed by this incompetent minion. I didn't. It's impossible. Zhong Shanwen was both shocked and terrified. How could I do anything to your apprentice, Senior Gigo? I wouldn't even dare if I had 100 guts. Most importantly, he didn't even know that the Lord of Ghost Valley had an apprentice. What's more, even if they intend to attack an existence like the Lord of Ghost Valley, such a task will never fall on him. Zhong Shanwen panicked. Your Excellency, girl, there must be a misunderstanding. At the same time, his thoughts were running at high speed. A well-known fact in the Eternal Continent is that the Lord of Ghost Valley and the Lord of Demon Abyss are at odds. If they are both in-laws, they cannot reach a cooperative relationship with them. Then it must be eradicated. He must report this matter as soon as possible. Misunderstanding, I fucking looked indifferent. It seems that he didn't recognize me. So what, do you recognize me? She removed all the established appearance of the system, revealing the original appearance. There was another boom, and Zhong Shanwen's brain exploded again. He lost his voice. It's you. Shouldn't you have already? Of course he would never forget fucking's face. That was the first time he traveled from the Eternal Continent to another world called Earth. When you first arrive, this world is completely different from the Eternal Continent. All of them are high-tech that he is not familiar with. But at the same time, people on Earth are far inferior to him in understanding of luck. Although he successfully came to the Earth, there are many restrictions. He couldn't directly plunder the luck of the Daughter of Luck, he had to use the medium of Ji Qingwei. In fact, Ji Qingwei only has 10% of the luck of the Daughter of Luck, and he dedicated 70% to the master he is loyal to. It's ridiculous that Ji Qingwei thought she had gotten a huge benefit. Who knows that the reason why her body is so weak is that the luck of the Daughter of Luck is indeed unbearable for ordinary people. The second is because as a medium, Ji Qingwei constantly acts as a balloon that collects luck and is drained, and his body will naturally deteriorate. The Daughter of Luck should have died, so how could she suddenly become the apprentice of the Master of Ghost Valley? Zhong Shanwen's brain froze instantly. Yu Xian also walked out slowly. The four stood still in four directions, blocking Zhong Shanwen's path. And the three youths he brought had already been instantly killed by the Lord of Ghost Valley with the raising of his hand. Zhong Shanwen trembled and said, I don't know anything, and it's not what I want to do. I say everything. No need. I fucking smiled. I've already fought against your people, and the revenge organization is actually your people, right? You all have restrictions in your body, you will automatically die if you say it. What can I ask? No wonder those people in the revenge organization always die suddenly, and they can't find out the means. It turned out to be the ability of the magical spiritual world of Eternal Continent. Zhong Shanwen's lips moved, but he didn't speak. He has nothing to do with the revenge organization, but the revenge organization does belong to several other adults. There is indeed a restriction in his body, so today he is not. Zhong Shanwen's face was pale. At this time, the Lord of Ghost Valley has already moved. What? Zhong Shanwen uttered a heart-piercing scream, feeling that his whole body was being bitten by thousands of insects, and the pain made him breathless. The pain was so painful that he didn't even have the strength to struggle. Blood continued to seep from the 7 orifices. He suddenly roared again, choosing to give up this body. Seeing that his soul was leaving, fucking narrowed his eyes. Ghost Valley, You are not good at torturing people's souls, let me do it. Lord Moiwan smiled, it's not that easy to reincarnate. He raised his hand and shook it, come back to the old man. Zhongshan Wen's soul showed a look of horror. The soul and body were tortured at the same time, but they couldn't die immediately. Zhongshan Wen had completely collapsed. Lord Moiwan took out another small bottle and directly stuffed Zhongshan Wen's soul into it. He swayed, and heard a more miserable scream, my daughter-in-law, this thing is for you, I have plenty of it. I fucking squeezed the bottle tightly, thank you, Senior Moun. No thanks, no thanks. Lord Moiwan waved his hand, we are all family anyway. The Lord of Ghost Valley no longer wants to talk nonsense with him. Things are settled. Master, I need to slow down. Fu tilted his head, you must be vigilant to other people, I'm afraid they. The strength of the opponent must be higher than that of the Lord of Gigu. The Lord of Ghost Valley raised his eyebrows, I didn't have much contact with other forces, and it's just this old ghost who always fights with me. It's really annoying. Lord Moiwan snorted coldly. Master, you eat noodles first, I have to leave first. I fucking grabbed Yu Zion's hand, I'll talk to you later. After speaking, the two immediately went offline. In the eyes of the Lord of Ghost Valley and the Lord of Demon Abyss, it means that the two left here by using a large teleportation. The Lord of Ghost Valley muttered, this girl, today is weird. He went to the back kitchen, picked up the chopsticks and happily picked up the noodles in the bowl. Then he took a bite. Puff. A serious wound. The Lord of Ghost Valley's eyes were dull. He had the most unforgettable taste in his life. Not even any poison he had taken could compare. He looked at the good-looking noodles in the bowl. Is this really to enhance the relationship between the young lovers, not to alienate them? Ghost Valley, what are you doing? Don't eat alone. Lord Moiwan shouted outside the door, you share half of the noodles made by my apprentice-in-law. The Lord of Ghost Valley came back to his senses, and snorted coldly, okay, I can give you all, but you have to swear to God, eat all of it, and don't waste it. All right, Lord Moun raised his hand, I swear to God, I will definitely finish eating the noodles made by my apprentice-in-law today, otherwise there will be a thunderbolt. Only then did the Lord of Ghost Valley bring out the noodles made by fucking and put them in front of Lord Moun. Lord Moiwan couldn't wait to take a bite. As soon as the face fell into the mouth, Lord Moiwan's expression changed instantly, and his facial features were twisted in pain. The Lord of Ghost Valley looked happy, and said slowly, don't forget, you swore. Once the vow is made, it will come true. Lord Moiwan looked at the dark clouds and bright thunder that began to hover above his head, and swallowed his face with difficulty. After eating, he left Ghost Valley with a pale face, and his whole body was shocked. The Lord of Ghost Valley was in a better mood, and he snorted slightly, it's what you deserve. Soon, there was new gossip in the Eternal Continent. The Lord of Moiwan failed to enter the Ghost Valley, swallowed many kinds of poisons by mistake, and fell unconscious. Right now, the real world. Fucking summoned all the senior brothers and sisters. Tan Jingmo glanced at her lightly, Yunju, you better be busy. Senior brother and sister, listen to me. Fu poured tons of water into a large glass of water, took a breath before speaking, this matter may be really bizarre, but it is indeed true. What's the matter? Tan Jingmo squinted his eyes suddenly became dangerous, you have it. Fucking took a deep breath and smiled, ninth brother, come on, you beat him to death, I will never soften my heart. Yu Zion raised her eyebrows, okay. Tan Jingmo withdrew his lazy expression, okay, I won't tease you anymore. Fucking paused and said, I just discovered that the Eternal Continent is not a game, but a real world. A stone can start a 1,000-foot wave. Tan Jingmo's expression changed instantly, what did you say? Fucking recounted the incident when he met Ji King Gui's godfather. All the brothers and sisters were shocked. No wonder. Yuan Mingqi's fingers tightened slightly. We couldn't track him several times. His tracker can locate a wide range. But in another world, that would be useless. Yun Ying, who had been silent all this time, slowly raised her head. I didn't expect to let you know so soon. The eternal continent is indeed real, because I have lived there for a long time. You haven't seen me for 5 years, and Yun Ying clasped his hands, smiled, and lightly dropped another shocking bomb, but I haven't seen you for 500 years. Good morning. Dip, the pit-filling Ching Ching is online. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Ching Qian. Chapter 803. The entire long table fell into dead silence for an instant. Yu Xian's eyes also suddenly paused. Sci-Fi's eyes widened slightly. Senior brother, you have been missing for so many years, so you went to the Eternal Continent. Instead of using the game cabin, the whole person went directly there. So, the Dongling Sea is actually a place connecting the Earth and the Eternal Continent. At this time, many thoughts are flowing freely at this moment. No wonder something like the Gate of the Dead appears in the East Ridge Sea that should not exist. It must be the Onmyoji of the Eternal Continent who has tampered with it. She also asked from Dongsang's yin-yang family that there was a woman who helped them improve their abilities and gave them many yin-yang and 5 elements secret books. But many years later, this woman's appearance has never changed. Sci-Fi's eyes turned cold, and he suddenly thought of someone. That great disciple of Yunmen, Baiji. Yes, Yun Ying wrote lightly, I chased the people who had tampered with the Intercontinental Research Institute all the way to the Dongling Sea, and then they disappeared. Sci-Fi's eyes changed slightly, those people from the Eternal Continent. Yes. If there are spiritual cultivators from the Eternal Continent, it will indeed be much easier to take action. Not bad. Yun Ying nodded slightly. I circled the Dongling Sea several times, but I never found them. Later, when I was about to give up, I accidentally triggered something. When I woke up again, I was in another place. Yun Ying let out a soft sneer. It is really a familiar yet strange place. I found that I couldn't get out, so I simply stayed. This stay lasts 500 years. The flow of time in the Eternal Continent is completely different from that on the Earth, and there is no pattern at all. He had no choice but to suppress the bloodlust and violence in his heart, become a spiritual cultivator in the Eternal Continent, and collect more news in this long period of time. The 10 most dangerous places in the Eternal Continent are the Endless Sea, Tomb of the Gods, Huangquan Mountain, Ghost Valley, Demonic Abyss, Yunmen's, Tianke, Wild End, Palace of Eternal Life and Death Swamp. Countless players died in the fierce place. Some have been completely banned from logging in, and some have become vegetative. No matter how serious it is, they will die like Ye Banglan and Lu Qingning. Since the Eternal Continent is a real world, the game Eternal is also a conspiracy. The deaths of Ye Banglan and Lu Qingning are absolutely inseparable from the forces to which the Godfather is loyal. Sci took a deep breath. Senior brother, there is also a problem with the 3 brainwave link modes of the game cabin, right? Yun Ying raised his eyebrows. Oh. Xiaju, tell me. In normal mode, we are just projections and can't affect anything. Sci said slowly. In sleep mode, our souls have passed away, so once we are severely injured, we will become a vegetative state. And the abyss mode. She clenched her fingers and her voice was hoarse. It is equivalent to entering the Eternal Continent. So if abyss mode is dead, it is really dead. Ye Banglan and Lu Qingning died in another world, and their graves were empty. Smart. Yun Ying said lightly, it's just that I haven't found out who created the game Eternity. Sci asked again, elder brother, what is the holy day? It's the last day in their plan. Yun Ying raised his eyebrows. According to the prophecy on the tomb of the god, on this day, everything will be reborn. Sci frowned slightly. that might be our destruction. Destruction and rebirth are inherently relative things. This sentence made everyone's nerves tense. Children, don't worry too much. Yunying smiled lightly. Instead, you can't run away from a big disaster, but you don't have to run away from a small one. If the sky falls, your senior brother will get up first. Tan Jingmo stood up first. Elder brother, let's go and compare notes. Oh, Yunying smiled. Okay, as the controller of the earth element, you want to increase your strength, come on. The two go out. Xiaju, the matter is more serious than we thought, and I have to improve my strength as soon as possible. Yu Jian said in a deep voice. Elder brother said that you are a vital link, and no matter what, senior brother and sister will protect you first. Si fucking clasped his fingers. Third senior sister, I should be the one protecting you. I'm leaving first. Yu Jian patted her shoulder and said in a relaxed tone, safety measures must be taken, young people, be restrained. Si fucking's eyes widened. Wait, third senior sister, I really haven't. Tsukimi has left. Si fucking turned his head and looked at Yu Zion, who was calm. My reputation is gone. Yeah, he touched her head. I don't have any anymore. Si fucking. Can this be the same? Can. At the same time, somewhere in the eternal continent. The young man clasped his fists and bowed respectfully. Sir, Zhong Shanwen is dead. After a long time, a faint voice came from the depths of darkness. Oh. There was no confusion in the tone of the voice, as if everything was expected. Zhong Shanwen is dead, and Lord Moiwan was also seriously injured. The young man said respectfully. It seems that the Lord of Ghost Valley has developed a new poison. Zhong Shanwen went there today and happened to touch his bad luck. The voice was still calm. It's not like he died without any use. At least they got new information. The poison that can seriously injure even the demon abyss lords is indeed worthy of their attention. Yes, sir. The young man smiled. He failed the mission, humiliated your face, and wasted a quota to go to Earth. He deserves to die. The voice hummed lightly. Biji is also dead. Yes, he was killed by Yunma, and the young man sneered. He is also a waste of time and effort. Don't worry about them. Whether they die or not will have no impact on the plan. The voice gradually faded away. Don't make any mistakes. The young man's eyes moved. Don't worry, sir. Since I have surrendered to you, I will definitely not let you down. On the other side, Ghost Valley. The Lord of the Ghost Valley was so angry that his beard stood up. Smelly girl, if you dare to touch my kitchen in the future, I will beat you out with a stick. He wasted the ingredients he carefully cultivated and made a bowl of noodles that was more poisonous than poison. The Lord of the Ghost Valley hated iron and said, do you know what the rumors say outside? They say I have made a terrifying poison. Si fucking clasped his hands together. Sorry, master, I really didn't expect it to be like that. The words suddenly stopped. That's not right. She also made a bowl for Xiao Yinhuang, but Xiao Yinhuang finished it without changing his expression. Is it really so unpalatable? Si fucking burst into tears. Xiao Yinhuang actually doted on her so much, she couldn't hurt him anymore. She decided not to cook, but to finish the embroidery as soon as possible to prove that she was the ghost who accompanied him from the age of 9 to 14. The Lord of Ghost Valley glanced at him. What are you embroidering? I'm embroidering clothes for my boyfriend, Si fucking said cheerfully. I'm here to accompany you, master. The Lord of Ghost Valley has become accustomed to the new words she pops up from time to time. He snorted coldly. You haven't been acting well since the past few days. Do you have anything else to ask me to be my teacher? No, really not. Si fucking paused and smiled. I just think that you are a real person, master, and it couldn't be better. She has a deep relationship with the Lord of Ghost Valley, and she doesn't regard him as just a bunch of data. The Lord of the Ghost Valley turned away and said awkwardly, you stinky girl, you are really good at sensationalism. but he was quite happy in his heart and wanted to show off to Lord Moun later. After discussing with Yun Ying, Tan Jingmo returned to the Free Continent T18 headquarters. After he finished handling the matter, the fatigue of many days overwhelmed him, and he quickly fell asleep. In the dream, someone was calling him. Momo? Momo? Aning. Tan Jingmo suddenly woke up from his dream and found that it was completely dark. He poured a glass of red wine and walked slowly to the window. He doesn't like drinking. Part of the reason was that Sci-fi was so destructive after drinking that he never had alcohol around him. The bigger reason is that Lu Qingning doesn't like wine. The events of the day impacted Tan Jingmo's brain, and he still couldn't believe the explosive news that Eternal Continent was the real world. Slowly click on your phone. There is a text message lying in the text box that will never be deleted. It was also the last words Lu Qingning left for him. Mo, I like you more today than I did yesterday, and it will be the same tomorrow. I'm leaving. She really left. He didn't even get to see her for the last time. Tan Jingmo stood in front of the huge floor-to-ceiling window. The rain was pouring outside the window, and the Freedom Tower in the distance was shining brightly. Thousands of lights reflected in his pupils, brilliant and divine. Tan Jingmo smiled and said softly, "Aning, we meet again. After 10 years of life and death, we only dare to meet each other in dreams. Several of my classmates are sick. Everyone must protect yourself and take precautions. The final stage of writing will be very slow. Thank you very much for your waiting and support. See you tomorrow." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 804. Tan Jingmo couldn't tell how long 10 years were. All I know is that during this period of time, like Sci-fi, he has finally shed all the greenness and immaturity on his body. How much growth can death bring? But he would rather not have these. As long as Lu Qingning is alive, it is enough for him, and he only wants her to live. But the reality is that she is gone, and he has been deprived of even the right to collect her body by the so-called game world of Eternal Continent, so he can only sit in the nothingness of his previous dream. Tan Jingmo pressed his head, and silently called out a phone number from the address book. The other party quickly connected, second senior brother. Xiaoqing, he called her calmly, "I dreamed of Aning again." Sci-fi suppressed the soreness in his heart, and his voice was hoarse, "Well, I know." After Lu Qingning passed away, Tan Jingmo started drinking heavily for a while. The wine is not good to drink, but it can let him see the deer lime when his brain is paralyzed. Even if it's just an illusion, he's happy with it. Only in this way can he convince himself that Lu Qingning is still alive. Tan Jingmo paused, and said in a low voice, "I dreamed that she told me that the death swamp was very cold, and she was very lonely by herself." Sci-fi's hands were clenched suddenly. It's been a long time. That time Lu Qingning was on the mission alone, and she and Yu Huixu were dealing with the matter of the Eternal Academy. They only received a text message from Lu Qingning. The text message reads Death Swamp. By the time they logged into Eternity and came to the Eternal Continent, Lu Qingning's account had been confirmed to be destroyed. Perhaps in terms of attack power, Lu Qingning will be slightly weaker than Ye, but she can be on the Eternal list, and her overall strength is not bad at all. If her account is destroyed, it will only be her own unfortunate death. Other than that, there would be no second possibility. Some native passers-by and some players from the Eternal Continent also proved that Lu Qingning entered the Death Swamp and never came out again. As one of the 10 most ominous places, the Death Swamp is a daily exploration task for students in the inner courtyard of the Eternal Academy. It is also the top priority of all the missions of the Eternal Four. They need to collect the data of these fierce places and upload them to the game database. These quests can only be done in Abyss mode. However, as a real world, the Eternal Continent has different meanings. Sci-Fucking's expression froze slightly. Second senior brother, I suddenly have a new idea. Her voice was very solemn, and Tan Jingmo also pulled away from the sadness in an instant, and his eyes became sharp. Xiao Qing, tell me. Could the game Eternal give us a chance to explore the Eternal Continent? Sci-Fucking paused. Someone can come to the Eternal Continent, but we can only go there through the so-called game cabin. I don't know how long Eternal has existed, and batch after batch of students have been exploring the 10 fierce places over the years, and we have more and more information. If there is no eternity, those people from the Eternal Continent will come to the Earth quietly, and they will only catch us by surprise. Tan Jingmo's expression changed. Yes, this possibility is very high, but who invented eternity? From the perspective of science and technology, even at the level of the Free State, it is impossible to invent. And from the perspective of magical spiritual cultivation, since a channel for thousands of people can be built, why make any games? Sci-Fucking let out a sigh of relief. Second senior brother, this is really a tough battle. But we want to fight, Tan Jingmo said flatly. Even if Anning's death has nothing to do with those people, I will definitely not allow them to run wild on our territory. As he spoke, he frowned. Xiao Qing, of the four of you, only you are still active now, and you even came back from a dead body by accident. The eldest lady of the Yu family hasn't shown up for a long time, I suspect. Sci-Fucking's heart trembled. She never suspected that Yu Huixiu might follow in the footsteps of Ye Wanlin and Lu Qingning. Xiao Qing, senior brother said that you are the most important thing. You must pay attention when you are cultivating in the Eternal Continent. Tan Jingmo's voice sank. If you find something wrong, log off immediately. Sci-Fucking responded, I understand, second senior brother. The next day, after Sci-Fucking came out of the game cabin, breakfast was already prepared in the dining room. She quickly pressed her hair, and rushed downstairs after washing. It was already a habit for her to have breakfast with Yu Xian. But now he has an additional layer of identity. Yin Huang. Things that would never have happened in fanfiction have actually come true in reality. He was really dragged into the world of mortals 10 feet by her, full of the fireworks of the world. Her Yintian CP was dismantled. It was still dismantled by herself. Guilt runs deep. Sci-Fucking was completely paralyzed like a little fox bumped into a tree. What are you doing standing at the top of the stairs? Yu Xian smiled slightly. Cultivating for so long, come here to replenish energy. How come it's getting cuter? Sci-Fu leaned over slowly. She picked up a steaming meat bun, and tentatively said, Ninth brother, senior Moi Wan that day. Yu Xian stroked the cup with his hand, and smiled slightly. Well, master, the old man is still retreating, and he said to the outside world that he is removing toxins from his body. After a pause, his brows moved slightly. I never thought that the girl wanted to, murder her boyfriend. Sci-Fucking. It turns out that the lethality is really that big. Woohoo, she felt sorry for Xiao Yinhuang even more. What kind of mood did he have at that time to finish the bowl of longevity noodles she made? I'm sorry, I really don't know. Sci-Fucking lowered his head. Why didn't you tell me that the noodles I made were so bad? Yu Xian was startled. Ching ching. When had he eaten the noodles she made? Ever since he knew she would blow up the kitchen, he banned her from entering the kitchen. To him, it wasn't really because he was afraid that she would make some unreasonable food. What's more, she is afraid that she will hurt herself. Yu Xian sighed softly. Who would have thought that she would know nothing about cooking? That's okay, he'll be fine. I wanted to make a bowl of noodles for you, but it's so unpalatable, I can't bear to let you eat it. Sci-Fucking coughed softly, stretched his hand behind his back, and suddenly took out a big gift box. Dang dang dang. For you. Uzian raised her eyebrows. What day is it today? Why did you suddenly give me a gift? It was a New Year's gift before you were sentenced. Sci-fi tilted his chin. Isn't time flowing faster in the eternal continent than here? I went there yesterday and finished embroidering the clothes for you. Her fox eyes were bright, and she urged him, open it and have a look. Uzian was infected by the vitality in her body. He raised his hand to take the box. Won't your brothers be jealous? Sci blinked. Wow, don't say it, it's really scary. Senior brother has been single for 500 years. How depressing is his life. We have to find a way to comfort him. The mental breakdown is the biggest blow. Uniing lived alone in a strange world for 500 years. Among them, only he can know the taste. Okay, Uzian had already opened the box. Inside was a finely embroidered garment. It is double-sided embroidery. The coat is common clothes and can be worn out every day. He knew that she was the right hand of God and was very talented in clothes design. Just this way of embroidering clothes. Uzian paused, and turned the clothes over. His eyes froze instantly. Inside, it is in the style of a dragon robe. When he was 14 years old, he had the same dragon robe. This was the last gift left to him before the ghost completely disappeared. But he prefers to call this ghost guardian spirit. He had never seen the guardian spirit before. But he knew it would always help him keep the bad guys away and be good to him. Uzian stroked the dress over and over again. Her fingers trembled slightly for the first time. He said softly, so it's you. Good morning, babies. Recognize that Ching Ching is a ghost. This seems to be something wrong. Get a monthly ticket to make the recognition more intense. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Ching Qian. Chapter 805. Uzian often doesn't want to think about the past life. When he was Emperor Yin, he had nothing to do with the word happiness. Especially before ascending the throne at the age of 14. He was born unfavored, an outcast child. Wandering outside the palace for 9 years, eating a variety of meals, and being discriminated against after returning to the palace. He meets a ghost. He can't see it, and he can't touch it. But he could feel it beside him and keep him company. Even though 2 lifetimes have passed, he still remembers the scene where several eunuchs were kicked out. From then on, rumors began to spread in the palace that the 9th son of the former emperor provoked ghosts, and fewer people dared to approach him. He doesn't care. Compared with ghosts, sometimes it is people who are more frightening. This ghost appeared at the age of 9 when he was the loneliest, and disappeared suddenly at the age of 14. After the enthronement ceremony, he couldn't wait to find him, and there was only one dragon robe left. Obviously, due to lack of time, the last few stitches of the dragon robe were a bit messy. He wore this dragon robe until his last battle. It is a pity that he failed to return to Yong'an. After being reborn in modern times, he sent people to find this dragon robe. But it has never been found, probably because it was submerged by the long river of history. There are not many important people in his life, and this ghost is one of them. He also asked Ji Chunyuan to find out the whereabouts of this ghost, but he only got the answer that this ghost does not exist in this world. As wise as Yin Huang, he never thought that the ghost he missed would be her. His eyelashes trembled, and the joy in his voice was like a treasure. It's really you. Pretended not to know anything. She blinked. What is me? Ching Ching, when I was very young, in my previous life. Uzian pinched the clothes with one hand, raised the other hand, and slowly stroked her cheek. I met a ghost. She cooks bad food. I still remember that she even embroidered a dragon robe for me. I've been looking for her for a long time, but I couldn't find her. I was worried that it was because my luck was too strong to let the soul body get close. After a pause, there was a rare hesitation in his tone. Do you know who I am? Si's heart skipped a beat. It turned out that she took the initiative to borrow this dress to let him find out that she was the ghost. But hearing him speak so bluntly, she was still pulled at the heartstrings. Ching Yuzian stared at the change in her expression, breathed a sigh of relief, and said in a low voice, "I have never told you, and I am also worried that you have different attitudes towards me and Yin Huang." Say. He smiled helplessly, "I always say that I should go and be with the world, whoever dismantles it is an unforgivable crime." Si murmured, "I was the one who dismantled the CP, so could it be that I chased and killed me?" He was silent for a moment, then laughed, "I am also demolishing, you can hunt me down." "Actually, what you said is correct, my feelings for you and Yin Huang are completely different." Si sighed, "I have maternal love for you, it's really not easy to switch." In an instant, the eyes of the young and handsome man in front of him suddenly became dangerous. But he was still smiling, and pinched her cheek lightly. Ching, what do you think you have for me?" "Mother's love." Si raised his eyebrows, "You were so cute when you were young, I took one bite at a time, if you were always a child, I would definitely raise you." There was another silence. Yuzian raised her hand for the first time, and pressed the center of her eyebrows. Should he post a help post on the internet now and ask his girlfriend what to do if she has maternal love for him? Thoughts flashed by. Yuzian raised her eyes suddenly, "So this is the Emperor's cultivation plan you mentioned?" Si blinked his fox eyes, "Huh. Well, you have been in the game cabin during that time," Yuzian said lightly. "Time travel is very mysterious, but if it is eternal, it is not surprising. It seems that the game system is helping you to travel through the game, allowing you to raise." He fell silent, a little embarrassed to speak. Si applauded him, as expected of His Majesty. He suddenly raised his head again. Ching, I'm jealous." Si, huh. "You saw me when I was young, but I haven't seen you." Yuzian smiled slightly, "I always feel a little unfair." Si tilted his eyebrows and raised his eyebrows, "I am the little koi carp conferred by His Majesty himself." Yuzian patted her head, "Are you acceptable?" Si hummed lightly, "But you are Emperor Yin, I always feel that the distance between me and you is too far, and I still can't believe it. Emperors are also ordinary people, and they are just looking for their jobs." Yuzian was non-committal. He smiled, Ching, if you are in that position, you will not be worse than me. I'm just an ordinary person in this life. I don't need to be under so much pressure. You are outstanding and dazzling, and you have saved many people." Si couldn't help rubbing his eyes. She lowered her head and whispered, "You're going to make me cry." He apologized to her with kindness, "I'm sorry, but I want to tell you that you are really good." He raised his hand and poured another cup of tea. "At that time, I kept thinking about what you looked like, but I didn't expect it to be a girl. It seems that God has already established a destiny for us." "Your Majesty doesn't believe in the destiny." He hugged her and smiled, "It's you, I can believe it, I even went to the temple to ask for a lottery." Si slightly opened his eyes wide, "You're Oak. Oak. It's your personality that has collapsed." "Oh," Yuzian twitched her eyebrows, and this time she asked, "What kind of character design is this time?" Here Si pointed to the history book, "This is you." Yuzian glanced at it. It is recorded in Yinhuang Benji. It is recorded that the request of the ministers to propose a draft was rejected many times. "I am right in front of your eyes, but you have to learn about me through history books." He hooked her chin and kissed her, his breath was not slow. Ching, what is the reason for this?" Si. She gritted her teeth, "I want to tell the world about your evil deeds." Yuzian raised her head and looked at her, "No one will believe it." Ching. "Damn it," Si picked up the pillow and patted him, "You are a black-hearted monster. Idols should stay away from the lives of fans." He grabbed the pillow in her hand, At least there is a girlfriend. The two were talking when the phone rang. It is Cloud Shadow. Si fucking made a hush gesture. Ninth brother, after a while the big brother scolds me, please help me. She was also very guilty and blamed herself, it's also my fault. If it wasn't for me, the elder brother would not have chased those people into the eternal continent by mistake. The phone was connected, but Si fucking hadn't spoken yet. Yunju Yunying called her in a very calm voice, I know you are blaming yourself, so I made a special call. On the contrary, I still need to thank you. I have cultivated 500 years more than you. Don't even think about beating me into a pig's head. You just have this dream. Si fucking, why do you know my mental activities? Yunying said lightly, what you thought yesterday was shown on your face. How could I not know it? It's a pity that your thoughts fell through. Si fucking said very fiercely, you will be single for the rest of your life. What a handsome guy, he always has an extra mouth. Thank you, Yunying said unhurriedly, thank you for your kind words, I am light-hearted without emotion. I am used to having a good time by myself, and I don't want to be restrained. The phone was hung up. Si fucking. I am very touched that every time it goes out, it is within a second. As expected of her elder brother. In the afternoon, Si fucking and Yu Zion went to Daxia Terrace together. Zhongshan Wen's side has been coveting Daxia's luck, intending to destroy the dragon's veins. Even if they don't know the enemy's ultimate goal, they must gather more luck as soon as possible to protect Daxia. It is indeed the most convenient way to make Daxia culture famous all over the world through the program. Mr. Si, I'll leave the script to you this time, Director Chin said with a smile. Even if you are a history professor with advanced academics, you still don't study it as deeply as you do. Who can compare to traveling directly back to the Great Xia dynasty more than 1,000 years ago? Si fucking nodded, recalling in her mind the fragments of getting along with Yin Huang when she was a Wei military advisor. I just don't know if she can write these things out. But the script was taken away by Yu Zion. He smiled lightly, Director Chin, let me do it. Director Chin took a deep breath, his pupils trembling. Mr. Yu wrote the script this time? Could it be that Mr. Yu also? So he did not guess wrong, and this Mr. Yu must have traveled back. As expected of a husband and wife file, time travel also plays a pair. Director Chin, can you make a bold guess? After reading the outline, I should not be able to fill in this month, and Ching Ching should finish the main text by the beginning of next year. In the final stage, I will choose to go slower and ensure the quality first. Thank you for your support along the way. See you tomorrow. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Ching Qian. Chapter 806. Both of them have experienced history firsthand, so it would be perfect for a historical dialogue variety show like Great Summer Treasure to be filmed face to face. Director Chin only felt that his career as a director had reached an unprecedented peak, and he felt overwhelmed for a while. Si fucking was a little surprised, Your Majesty, cough cough, Brother Ninth, what are you going to write? Yu Zion lowered her eyelashes and smiled softly, I recalled some things, which are very suitable for use in variety shows. Perhaps when he died, he was already inextricably entangled with modern society. Otherwise, how could he have such a real dream before he died? It was exactly the same as the big summer he saw now. Director Chin, don't worry, if there is anyone more suitable than me for writing scripts, it's Brother Nine. Si fucking said with a serious expression, please get ready. Director Chin waved his hand nonchalantly, it's done, at most I found Emperor Yin's tomb, I understand. Could there be any shocking event? He took out a new version of the Sisi brand Suxiaojuxin pill, and ate a few of them as jelly beans. Then he ordered the propagandists to start a new round of publicity on the whole network. Director Chin thought happily. When the new issue of Great Xia Treasure Yinhuang chapter comes out, it will be scary no matter what. Here, Sci-Fi and Yuzian left Daxia Terrace and embarked on the road to the Qinjun League. On the way, Sci-Fi tried to write down her experience as a military division without clothes in the memo on her mobile phone, but found that there was only a blank. She sighed. Sure enough, she couldn't take the initiative to write the history she experienced. Only after being guessed by Yuzian, she can follow the topic he raised. Yuzian suddenly called her, Ching Ching. Sci-Fi raised his head, huh. His eyes locked on her tightly. You have traveled many times, won't it cause harm to your body? Sci-Fi was stunned. Not yet, but if there is some damage, it will be worth it. If she hadn't traveled by chance, she wouldn't have been able to obtain the hidden weapon map lost by the Mo family. It is even more impossible to ask Ji Chunyuan to practice the art of yin-yang and 5 elements, so as to turn the catastrophe of the Ji family into safety and protect the people of Dongzhou from danger forever. Daxia's luck has been restored, and all this is worth it. Yuzian's lips were slightly pursed, and he touched her head gently. I don't want you to be hurt. I know. Sci-Fi also stood on tiptoe and patted his head. Ninth brother, think about the bright side. What if eternity is here to help us? Yuzian sighed, and said lightly, I just don't want to pin my hopes on a game. He took her hand, and she followed him through the main entrance of Qinjunmen. As soon as I entered, I heard the sound of metal shaking. Following the source of the trembling sound, they arrived at the arsenal of the Qinjun League. The Longke sword was impressively in the center, and the whole body exuded an aura of joy. Sci-Fi raised his eyebrows, and said unhurriedly, no wonder His Majesty never enters through this gate when entering the Qinjun League. It turns out that once he enters, he will reveal his identity. Yuzian slowly grasped the dragon bird sword. He was silent for a moment. I am no longer Emperor Yin. I don't want their attitude towards me to change. Our goals and tasks are the same. Guard the huge empire of Great Xia. Yuzian suddenly smiled. Ching Ching, touch it. Sci-Fi took it. Miraculously, the Longke sword did not go away from her hand, but stayed safely in her palm. She could feel the blade trembling slightly. Yuzian smiled. The dragon bird is greeting you. Sci-Fi touched it again, and blinked. It's so sweet. According to what you said, Longke followed me to fight the world, and he is a loyal Yintian CP fan. Yuzian thought thoughtfully, but it accepted you, so now it is a selfish CP fan. Sci-Fi, your character design has collapsed again. Yuzian's brows moved slightly. I don't have a predetermined personality. I can change what the girl thinks of me. Brother 9, I would like to ask you to do me a favor. Sci-Fi thought for a while and said, I want you to write something in your original handwriting. After finishing speaking, she said meaningfully, as expected, you even changed your handwriting. If not, she might have recognized it long ago. I have to be cautious. Yuzian took out a pen, ink, paper, and inkstone, and asked her, what to write. Sci-Fi said slowly, some words for Wen Changji. Great Xia Dynasty. It is the hot summer of July. Wen Changji is like a wisp of wind, drifting erratically. During this time he came to Nanzhou. Nanzhou has a hot climate, but the scenery is beautiful. It made Wen Changji's poems very popular, and he wrote a lot of poems immediately. When he was writing poems on the boat, the boards of the boat rattled. Looking up again, there was already a figure on the boat where one person lived alone. When Wen Changji saw Sci-Fi, he blinked first, then smiled and said, this is the third time the young master has come to see me. Could it be that he has found a lot of poems? No. Sci-Fi walked over and sat down cross-legged. I'm here to tell Mr. Wen that His Majesty Yinhuang knows about the 3 regrets in your life. She slowly took out a letter and smiled slightly. I asked His Majesty to write a letter to Mr. Wen, maybe Mr. Wen can read it. Wen Changji, such a free and easy person, was shocked in place. If someone else uttered the sentence, he would only think it was deceiving him. But the little boy in front of him was different. Is the future man. When Changji managed to recover, his voice hoarse, "Who do you think wrote me the letter?" "It's your Majesty." I fucking blinked. Mr. Wen put it away. When Changji wiped his hands quickly, and took the letter with an extremely pious attitude. The envelope was still warm. He carefully took out the letter paper and unfolded it. The words on the paper are flamboyant and penetrating. Mr. did not bring the 3-foot sword to stand in the world, but the poems will remain in history, and they will last for thousands of years, so there is no regret. That short sentence shocked Wen Changji. He looked over and over again, his fingers trembling. "This word is your Majesty." "No. Absolutely impossible. Yin Huang has been dead for 2 years. He wrote very few articles, all of which were collected in the palace treasure house." Wen Changji didn't remember Yin Huang ever writing such words. "And this ink has just dried up. But this is clearly Yin Huang's word." In an instant, Wen Changji thought of many things. He raised his head suddenly. "You went to look for His Majesty first, and then I came to look for me, then your Majesty. Mr. Wen, this may be the last time we meet." I fucking smiled and cupped his fists at him. "I wish Mr. Wen a bright future and a smooth journey." Real world. Morning. I fucking opened the game cabin and stretched. "It's done." Yu Zian turned her head. "How?" Si Fu tilted his chin. "You big idol wrote him a letter, and he was so moved that he was about to cry." Yu Zian paused, then raised her eyebrows suddenly. "What about you?" Si fucking turned his head away from him. "Why, I've already cried." Yu Zian remembered the day she came to him crying. It seems that some new clues are gathering. The phone rang. Yu Zian returned to her senses. President Gu's phone call. Si fucking pressed the hands-free button. "Teacher, great news." Gu Huiyan's beaming voice came out of the microphone. "Just now there was news from Nanzhou, and I found a few more poems, all of which were written about His Majesty Yin Huang. Wen Changji is indeed a loyal fan of His Majesty Yin Huang, and has written so many poems for him." Si fucking. Oops, how did she accidentally change history again? Yu Zian raised her hand and tapped her forehead lightly. "Let's go, I've finished writing the script." Si fucking finished washing up. "Here we come." Daxia Terrace. Early in the morning, Director Chin rubbed his hands and sat at the door waiting. Seeing Si fucking approaching, he immediately greeted him. "Teacher Si." Si fucking dragged the long K sword out from behind. "Dang dang." Director Chin, look quickly. This is. Director Chin couldn't help but widen his eyes. "You traveled back and brought back His Majesty Yin Huang's sword." Si fucking. What kind of person is she in Director Chin's eyes? Will she do it? Si fucking said tactfully. "Director Chin, maybe you can have another guess." Another guess? Director Chin was stunned for a moment. "Oh, then you coerced and lured His Majesty Yin Huang to give it to you? Remember to return it." Si fucking once again. "Don't explain it anymore. The more you explain, the more confusing it will be. Anyway, this must be true." Director Chin lowered his voice. "I just heard that Wen Changji has released a new poem." "Teacher Si did it?" Si fucking sighed. "He's about to be hunted down by the student party again." On the other hand, the screenwriter was very surprised. "Mr. Yu's script means to make MRSSI dress up as a man." "Good morning." "Drop the horse, let her drop." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 807. Si fucking has always been hailed as the face of the entertainment industry. with a face that unifies the aesthetics of China, the West, and the world. However, her most widely circulated stills is not Zhang Ziyu in the female general of Zhenguo who was once again made a god, but the scene where she disguised herself as a man and rescued the beauty for the first time in the human world chapter of Walking the Devil. Instantly killed the hearts of countless fans. After this episode aired, Sci-Fi regained the title of Human Wrench. It has been more than a year since the broadcast of Dressing the Devil, and the muses are still waving their flags and shouting for Sci-Fi to take on another film and television drama in which a woman disguises herself as a man. The screenwriter gave a thumbs up. Mr. Yu, you still know what fans like. Yu Xian's eyebrows moved slightly. Fans most want to see Teacher Si disguised as a man, and Mr. Yu has fulfilled their dream. The screenwriter smiled. I'll ask the fashion designer to choose clothes for Teacher Si. Yu Xian hummed lightly. Use this one. He took out a very ordinary white long coat without any embellishments. The screenwriter was even more surprised. Mr. Yu even prepared clothes? Okay, let Teacher Si wear this. Yu Xian nodded slightly. It's troublesome. The screenwriter joyfully took the men's clothing to look for Sci-Fi. When Sci-Fi saw this men's clothing for the first time, his pupils shrank violently. Of course she won't forget the dress. It's the style she's been wearing since she was the stripper. She clutched the clothes in her hands, lowered her head, and the mist in her eyes quickly gathered, but she never fell down. She should be happy. Although she never left any trace in history, he remembered her. He remembers every one of her. Mr. Si, then you change your clothes, I'm going out. The screenwriter exited very thoughtfully and closed the door. Director Qin also finished reading the script and exclaimed, Mr. Yu's level of screenwriting is no worse than Mr. C's. Especially the scene of the prosperity of the modern great Xia inserted in the middle. The comparison between ancient and modern times has a strong sense of impact. Director Qin thought for a while, and asked cautiously, Mr. Yu, His Majesty Yin Huang said these words, could it be? Yu Xian only gave an ambiguous answer, maybe. Just as he was talking, the door of the dressing room was pushed open. Sci-Fi walked out. She was already dressed like a teenager, her hair was tied up high, and her eyebrows and eyes were sharper. Wow, Teacher Si is so handsome. Screenwriter Xing Xinjian said, I am willing to be Teacher C's girlfriend for love. As soon as she finished saying this, she felt a chill all over her body. The screenwriter tremblingly raised his head, only to find that Yu Xian smiled slightly at her. Screenwriter. She just shut up. How is it? Sci-Fi's eyes were still a little red, and he asked softly, is it suitable? Appropriate. Yu Xian raised her hand, straightened her hair, and sighed softly, I just regret it. Sci-Fu rubbed his chin, afraid that I will steal your male god's position. Not afraid, he laughed, I will give you whatever you want. He is willing to watch her get better and better and stand at the top. He likes her and certainly won't trap her. You are prohibited from approaching me, I'm going to start changing my relationship. Sci-Fi raised his hand and made a cross, otherwise, I will blame you for the difficulty in getting into the play. Hearing this, Yu Xian patted her head, well, at least it's not maternal love. Sci-Fi turned his head, you were so cute when you were young, why did you become a big black-hearted monster when you grow up? Ching ching. He suddenly called her. Sci-Fi turned around again. He bent down and retied the belt around her waist in a different way, okay, let's start. The background is set. According to the script written by Yu Xian, the scene of Emperor Yin's death was copied 1-to-1. Looking at the familiar scene, Sci-Fi felt a soreness in his throat as if it had been stuck. It was here that she watched him gradually lose his breath and fall into a deep sleep. After all, she was lucky to be able to see him in real life again. Behind the scenes, Director Qin said in a low voice, Mr. Ning, don't tell me, after Mr. Yu changed into an ancient costume, he really has the aura of being king, which is even more standard than that professional emperor. The emperor's professional household is a joking name for an old actor. This veteran actor has played dozens of emperors, and his acting skills are so realistic that people who meet him in real life can't help but call him emperor. Ning Russian concluded, "This Mr. Yu must have communicated with His Majesty Yin Huang." Director Qin nodded in agreement, and picked up the loudspeaker. "Come on, take your seats, let's start." The recording officially begins. The onlookers were also very excited. I thought it would be more difficult to film the Yin Huang chapter, but unexpectedly it went very smoothly. During the shooting process, there were absolutely no mistakes. Until the intervening modern shot ends, reaching the climax of the plot. Director Qin locked his eyes on the screen tightly, held his breath, and didn't even dare to blink. On the screen, the young emperor showed a very pure smile. "I had a dream," he said. "I dreamed that after thousands of years, the mountains and rivers will be peaceful and the people will be safe." Beside him, the young man said softly, "Your Majesty, perhaps, this is not a dream." There is only one scene, without any transitions. But every conversation between the two of them was like thunder falling, hitting everyone's ears. The 2-hour recording ended, and the audience fell silent. After 5 full minutes, Director Qin yelled cut as if he had just woken up from a dream. "Okay," Director Qin stood up, very excited, "this episode is really good. I must apply to the station to make a TV series about Yin Huang." "No need." Yu Xian shook her head slightly, "just play with her." Director Qin also thought about it. "If Mr. Yu is interested, you must tell me." Yu Xian nodded and went to the locker room to change. "Hey, wait," the screenwriter suddenly slapped his head. Mr. Si did not read the script this time and went straight to the stage to act, and every line of the line is correct. Could it be that Mr. Si is the person in the script? But the other person who talks to Yin Huang in the script is a man. "You must be thinking too much." Director Qin waved his hand. "Mr. Yu must have shown the script to Mr. Si first, not to mention that Mr. Si has a photographic memory, and the lines are all read once." The screenwriter rubbed his head embarrassingly. "I'm sorry, I'm too excited. I always feel that today's performance by Mr. Si and Mr. Yu really happened." Director Qin put his hands behind his back, with a serious expression on his face. "You guys have too much brains as screenwriters, so you should write less time travel dramas in the future." On the side, Ning Russian rolled his eyes when he heard the sentence. "Get cheap and sell well." The screenwriter muttered, "What's wrong with the brain hole?" Now the audience likes to watch the brain hole plot, this issue of Great Summer Treasure. Before he could finish speaking, the door was suddenly pushed open. Director Qin looked at the slightly panting man in surprise. "Mr. Yu, is there anything urgent for you?" Yu Xian didn't answer this question, but looked at the screenwriter. "You mean that Ching Ching hasn't read today's script?" The sense of oppression on his body at this moment is extremely strong, and the imperial aura belonging to Emperor Yin is undoubtedly revealed, making the people around him completely breathless. Director Qin and the screenwriter are ordinary people, so naturally they couldn't bear it. The screenwriter's face turned pale, and he didn't realize what happened. "Sorry, I was the one who was abrupt." Yu Xian took a slow breath, smiled lightly, and asked again. "She didn't read the script, so she performed on stage." The screenwriter regained the fresh air, and nodded after a few moments of delay. "That's right, Mr. Yu, Mr. Si, have you read it in advance?" Yu Xian smiled lightly. "No, I didn't show it to her before I came here." The screenwriter was taken aback, and stammered, "Yuan, it turns out that Mr. Yu didn't show the script to Mr. Si. Then, how did Mr. Si know? No. Husband and wife have such a good understanding?" Yu Xian's eyelashes trembled slightly. How did she know the lines? He is also asking himself this sentence. Before he died, only Wei was left by his side. The dialogue between him and Wei was also understood only by the two of them. Yuzian closed her eyes. Well, although there is darkness, the light never dies. Maybe there are beaters in every generation, but there has never been a beat generation, they are always trying. Has your Majesty ever thought that after 1,500 years, we will go to the Moon Palace, soar for 9 days, dive into the sea, and conquer thousands of miles of waves? Maybe it's not a dream. This sentence spanned the long history of 1,500 years, and ran towards him again. His body and mind fell because of this, and his soul trembled because of it. In front of him, the figures of the boy and the girl gradually overlapped. The same eyes, the same temperament. They were all asking him the same question. Do you know who I am? Nice trip both ways. Babes, give Ching Ching and His Majesty a monthly ticket as part of the fairy love. This is the first time to write this type of emotional drama, I hope everyone will like OUO. The holes will definitely be filled, don't worry everyone, even if I write longer than expected, I will fill the holes. See you tomorrow. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Ching Qian. Chapter 808. This question finally has an answer at this moment. She is a confidant and a confidant. By his side, she was alone from beginning to end. From ancient times to the present, the two generations have not changed. At this moment, Yuzian could only hear the sound of his heartbeat increasing in his chest. He should have thought of it earlier. No wonder she said the same thing as Wu Yi when she met him in this life. Because she was originally Wu Yi, his little military advisor. Mr. Yu. Mr. Yu, Director Qin called out worriedly, are you okay? From just now, the man fell into a strange mood. Does Teacher Si read the script? Does it have that much influence? Director Qin was very confused. Yuzian gradually regained consciousness. There were already turbulent waves in his heart, but he was still able to stabilize his emotions, and his face was calm. He smiled slightly at the screenwriter, thank you, if you need help in the future, call the number on the business card. The screenwriter stared blankly at the business card stuffed in her hand, feeling a little dazed. What did she do to make Mr. Yu say such a thing? You must know that there are many international big families who want to cooperate with him now. The screenwriter was in a trance, always feeling that his life had completely reached its peak today. At this time, Si fucking was still in the lounge. She didn't take off her makeup, but looked at the boy in the mirror, lost in thought. The door was pushed open at this moment. Before Si fucking turned her head, there was the sound of messy footsteps, and someone hugged her. His strong arms clasped her tightly, encircling her in his arms. Si fucking's body trembled, and his voice was very low, brother ninth. Yuzian just hugged her, her arms trembling slightly. As if to make sure she was real. After a while, he finally spoke and smiled, little military division. As soon as this title came out, Si fucking suddenly felt a kind of restriction breaking away from her, as if she was relieved from a heavy burden. Her throat rolled, and her voice was a little difficult, you know. Understood, Yuzian whispered, sorry, I should have known earlier. There's nothing to be sorry about, Si fucking muttered, it's all because of the dog game system, which insists on making me a man. Not really a sex change, but the mandatory look of the game system. It is not appropriate to call it a game system now. She suddenly felt a heat on her neck again. There is water swirling and spreading. This is tears. Si fucking was stunned suddenly. In Huanyan's life, she only saw him shed tears once. Holding the book that recorded the list of martyrs, he wept silently. She died for the hundreds of thousands of soldiers who died in battle, and she died for her inability to protect them. At that time, she wanted to reach out and hug him tightly, telling him that after 1500 years, everything would be settled. But at that time, She had no choice. Si fucking raised his hand slowly, turned around and hugged him. Don't cry, Daxia was who is still there, why are you crying? This is what he once said. As he himself said, no matter how strong Emperor Yin is, he is not a god, but an ordinary person. He also has emotions and desires. It's just that the burden on him is too heavy, and what he shoulders is the 5 states of the Great Xia, and it is the belief of thousands of soldiers. Of course he can't be weak. The two hugged each other quietly. A time lens that seems to have fallen forever. It took a long time before Uzian raised his head. He smiled, well, don't cry, don't even cry. The 5 states of Great Xia are still there, and so are the people. Nothing to cry about. Didn't you cry that day because you dreamed that I was gone? It was a question, but his tone was affirmative. Ching ching, you saw the painting I put in the study. Otherwise, with her prudence, she would never take the initiative to reveal to him that she was dressed as a ghost through her clothes. She recognized him one step ahead of him. But instead of retreating as he expected, he ran to him without hesitation. His moon will not only stay for him, but also run away from everything to him. Si fucking hummed softly, raised his eyebrows, and said unhurriedly, Your Majesty is still as smart as ever. Uzian stared at her face and sighed, I'm sorry, it's my fault, or it made you sad. But he was equally fortunate that the painting he drew was seen by her. Otherwise they still miss out. Si fucking looked at him expressionlessly, a certain emperor, if you apologize again, I will be angry, and I will sentence you, believe it or not. Okay, Uzian laughed, girl, please don't sentence me again. Si fucking blinked, if I really sentence you, your subjects will definitely chase me down. She turned her head, I'm jealous too, I'm not the first person to know your identity. They were accidents. Uzian glanced lightly at the Lonke sword hanging on his waist, it's because Lonke was too excited. Understandable. Si fucking touched the Lonke sword again, it's really not seeing you for more than 1,000 years, and it's very lonely. As if he understood it, the Lonke sword trembled slightly again. Exudes a cheerful mood. Uzian lowered her voice and smiled, I told Yan Wen that I don't want you to see me when I die. At that time, I was probably the worst. Up to now, he has lived several days and nights in this bustling modern age. But after suffering from lung disease in his last life, the feeling of powerlessness before his death still haunts him and cannot be shaken off. He would rather die on the battlefield than suffer from illness. Therefore, after he knew that his body would not last long, he simply made a plan to finally strangle the barbarians. His body broke down completely because of it, but he always died like a king. Hearing him speak so calmly, Sifu Kinke couldn't restrain the sour feeling that swallowed her wave after wave. How could it be, she said softly, you are Daxia Lonke, the youngest emperor in history. Uzian raised her eyebrows slightly, and smiled, so, this is what you didn't say at the beginning. Si fucking was startled, you remember all this. Remember? Uzian raised her hand, wiped away the tears from the corners of her eyes, and said in a low voice, I really want to know what you said, but seeing that you were crying so much at that time, I didn't ask any more. So it's not that you cry like a girl, but you are a girl. Si fucking emphasized, that's the mandatory appearance of the game system, I'm just a girl. So, you saw me first. Uzian patted her head, later you met Yanfen and Chun Yuan. Yes. Si fucking raised his eyebrows, Senior Chun Yuan also told me that he proposed to you to kill me. Uzian frowned slightly, why does he tell you everything? Senior Chun Yuan is also my master. Sifu tilted his chin and smiled, he also said that your king and I will not see the king, and that when two kings meet, there will be a dispute. Uzian remained silent, but the aura on her body became more and more terrifying. But later he said that if he could see that I was a girl, he would introduce you to me. Si fucking continued, but I refused. Yuzian narrowed her eyes slightly. Hey, at that time I didn't know that you were Emperor Yin. Sci-fi looked at him, I chose you between him and you. The breath on his body suddenly eased, and he nodded her forehead, then you can have both of you now. Sci hesitated for a moment, but I'm very surprised that my travel back should be equivalent to a time paradox. Obviously this is something in your memory. If I didn't time travel, wouldn't it happen? It's not a time paradox, it's a closed loop of time. Yuzian was thoughtful. Before you met me in this life, you hadn't traveled through yet, but your time travel is an established fact. So I will meet you, and everything happened for real. Sci tilted his chin. That's right, I can't refuse the opportunity to go back and meet my idol. It's not that history was changed by her. And this is the future that is about to happen. Then you saw me, what else do you want to say? His voice was soft, as if persuading, I'm right in front of your eyes, not in the history books. There was a slight smile in his eyes, as if he wanted to sink people completely. Without even hesitation, Sci clenched his fists and said, serve the country faithfully. There was a moment of silence in the air. Sci came back to his senses, coughed lightly, but this is really my purpose, who would know? Serve the country faithfully. Good ambition. Yuzian looked at her, and slowly bent down, what if I still want you to promise me? He pressed her whole body to a corner of the bed, and his tone was still cold and cold, Your Majesty's order, no clothes, follow. Good morning. The introduction part, it finally came out. Your Majesty, I am all in front of you, what do you tell me? Tilt, QWQ. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 809. The desire for control and coercive power that belonged to the emperor were fully revealed at this moment. He's always been someone who wants to hold everything in his hands. It's just that in this life, he restrained his sharpness and momentum, making himself ordinary and ordinary. But in his bones, he was still the decisive emperor. Sci's fox eyes slowly widened, I'm working hard to serve Xia, why do you want me? Woohoo, her idol's personality has completely collapsed. The girl has always been able to do several things at the same time, and she does it very well. He unhurriedly tied the hair behind her ear. I heard from your brothers and sisters that you are on a mission at T18 at the time. I was still doing experiments at the Intercontinental Research Institute. Well, yes, you haven't missed the task of Eternal Academy, and you are playing yin-yang from time to time. At the end, he smiled, serving the country faithfully and making promises with one's body are not in conflict at all, and even complement each other, aren't they? You are completely oppressing me, Sci whispered, and I feel a little uncomfortable in this position. Yuzian raised her eyebrows, sorry. He suddenly grabbed her waist. In the next second, she was half in the air. Then she fell into a warm embrace. He lay down and let her lie on top of him. But such a posture left her with no place to retreat. However, at this moment, he asked her again, is this comfortable? Sci this sentence will cause ambiguity. Oh, Yuzian smiled lightly, raised her hand and touched her head, it's not ambiguous, it can be changed into a normal meaning. Sticking to his broad and warm chest, Sci could clearly hear his steady and powerful heartbeat. She couldn't help but think back to the day he left, the snow fell heavily, and his heartbeat gradually disappeared and could no longer be heard. Tears soaked the shirt. Yuzian tightened her hand, and slowly patted her on the back, don't cry, Ching Ching. After a long silence, she complained in a low voice, I was carried on the horse dozens of times by you, it hurts a lot. Yuzian pondered for a moment, at that time, you were indeed very delicate. I was afraid that you would not be able to hold on, but you really did a good job. As his military advisor, she has to run around the whole summer, but she has never complained. Of course SI fucking raised his eyebrows, not everyone has the opportunity to go out with you. Tuk tuk. At this moment the door was knocked suddenly, it was Director Chin. Mr. SI, Mr. Yu, do you want to stay for dinner? SI fucking looked at the postures of the two, and suddenly remembered a key question, this is the restroom, black-hearted monster. Yu Zion paused, sorry, I can't help it. SI fucking got up quickly, go home first. She hugged her clothes and walked slowly to the dressing room next door. Behind her, Yu Zion also sat up and arranged her suit in an orderly manner. After tidying up, he went out, there is no need to eat, there are very important things today. Okay, Mr. Yu is busy with your affairs, Director Chin hurriedly said, if you have any questions about the program in the future, just contact me directly. Over here in the locker room. Sister Sang Si fucking made a special call to Sang Yanking, from now on, just leave me a bench in my lounge. She emphasized again, I need iron benches, not even cushions. Sang Yanking was taken aback, you're short of money again? No, the rest room is all prepared by the program crew, and you don't need your money. Anyway, her family's entertainers are also top-notch, so the lounge is of course dedicated. The program team will not be stingy with this kind of facilities at all the furniture is fully equipped, and the comfort level is no less than that of a 5-star hotel. Si fucking gritted his teeth, because someone will take this opportunity to use the bed to commit crimes against me. Sang Yanking. Who? Her artist didn't directly destroy the other party? Then there is only. Sang Yanking suddenly realized, ching ching, don't worry, there must still be a bed. I'll tell the program team later and I'll equip you with a smart lock. Don't worry. Si fucking. Now she couldn't be more at ease. After changing his clothes, Si Fu walked out of the dressing room. As soon as she came out, she met Yu Zion's eyes. She immediately covered her face with the folder. Yu Zion smiled slightly, let's go, why are you still shy? Si fucking was expressionless, because your character design has completely collapsed. Yeah, he was very indifferent, then it's okay to have more collapses by the way. What? Si fucking raised his head, before he could say anything, he grabbed his hand. He used an extremely ingenious way to prevent her from advancing and retreating, and directly carried her into the elevator, and then stuffed her into the car after leaving the building. Si fucking. What's the difference between that and carrying her on a horse? Oh, the difference lies in the different means of transportation used in ancient and modern times. Jingle bell. The ringing of the phone broke the quiet atmosphere at this moment. Si fucking picked it up quickly, hello. Brother, wow, after you finished filming Wen Changji, a bunch of his poems appeared. Ji Xingzi was beaming, my old man even suspects that you have really worn them. Si fucking raised his eyebrows, yes. After Yu Zion recognized her, the restrictions on her finally disappeared. Ji Xingzi just said that casually, and now he was stunned, his brain was not enough, that is to say, brother, you really met the ancestor Chun Yuan of my Ji family. After all, he is also an onmyoji who deals with souls and bodies every day, so why can't he accept such supernatural things? That's right, Si Fu rubbed his chin, he has already noticed your presence. Ji Xingzi raised his head immediately, his whole body was refreshed, brother, please speak. Master Chun Yuan said that there will be a genius in the Ji family in the future. Although he is stupid, his talent is definitely not bad. Si fucking said, he will find a new path and lead the Ji family back to the top. Ji Xingzi froze suddenly, and he opened his mouth, old ancestor really said that? Really, what did I lie to you for? Si fucking hummed, or are you so unconfident in yourself? Ji Xingzi muttered, isn't it because you see a lot of perverts like you? Si fucking narrowed his eyes, what did you say? No, I didn't say anything. Jingzi looked serious. Brother and ancestors have high hopes for me, and I will definitely not let you down. After the call ended, Si regained his vitality. Ninth brother, I want to eat supper. Uzian smiled, okay. The next day, at 7:30 p.m. on Saturday night, the fourth issue of Great Summer Treasure was officially released. World premiere simultaneously. The number of viewers in the fourth issue was several times higher than that of Wen Changji's article. More than 1 billion people around the world were waiting in front of the screen, waiting for the arrival of the new article. At the beginning of this issue, Si did not appear first, leading the audience into the ancient world bit by bit. On the pitch-black screen, a line of golden words first appeared. Legends say that the dragon sparrow is not as gorgeous as other phoenixes, but it is the most ferocious among the phoenixes. A juvenile dragonfinch then appeared. A young dragonfinch looks like an ordinary water bird, but when it grows up, it will spread its huge black wings, covering the sky and covering the earth, and the sun, moon, and stars will also be covered by it. It is ferocious and lonely, defying the destiny. Shua. The little sparrow on the screen suddenly spread its wings and soared into the air, turning into a huge beast in an instant. The sparrow flew high and went away like a shooting star. The light filled the air, and finally outlined 4 big characters. Big Summer Sparrow. There is no Bactrian who is not familiar with this bird. Daxia lonke, that is the synonym of Yinhuang. This title was given to him by the barbarians and the western continent. There are rumors that once the dragonfinch comes out, it is invincible. This issue is really Yinhuang. I'm crazy to die. It's your majesty. My white moonlight male god. Although I really want to watch it, the program team is still too bold. Who should I ask to play? I really went through all the actors in my mind, and none of them fit. Let's not mention who will be acting. First be prepared that something about Emperor Yin will appear soon. Fortunately, your majesty doesn't write poetry, otherwise, I would collapse. When Changji's discovered poems have been appraised by writers and historians in many ways, and are of great cultural value. Tiandemeng has decided to compile several of them into textbooks for elementary and middle school students. This made the students complain. Director Qin glanced at the more and more bullet screens, as well as the soaring data of the entire network, but calmly took a Sisi brand quick-acting heart-saving pill, thinking extremely gloatingly. He has medicine. I can't scare you to death. The colder the weather, the more my arms started to hurt. I wrote a little slokak. See you tomorrow. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 810. The camera zooms in silently. It was snowing heavily and covered in silver. The young emperor in white leaned quietly against the pavilion, looking in the direction of Yong'an City. When the entire shot was on his face, the screen seemed to stop, and the barrage was instantly cleared. After a full 10 seconds of silence, a large exclamation point jumped out. This face, this figure. It's Uzian, my god, the show crew invited him to play Yinhuang. Damn, I feel that way, the emperor's expressionless expression, but just looking at me makes me want to kneel down. Wait, this outfit, it won't be Yinhuang's last year. Footsteps sounded and someone approached. It was Si who disguised herself as a man. She slowly sat down beside Yinhuang. Your Majesty, it's snowing. Yes, he raised his hand and placed it on her head, with a faint smile in his voice, I'm leaving too. It was a very simple sentence, but it easily revealed Yinhuang's unique character and temperament. At this moment, no one will say that no one in this world can play Emperor Yin. Can you see the future? He smiled, How will Daxia be in 1,000 years? Okay. We are all fine, there is no war, and the children can go to school. When Yin Huang said unfortunately, I can't see it, the audience was shocked. However, immediately afterwards, they heard Sci-fi say, I want him to have a dream, I want him to see today thousands of years later. After these words fell, the audience's breaths became short of breath. Dasya TV, the screenwriter was a little surprised, Mr. C's words are not in the script written by Mr. Yu. It was added by teacher Si. Later director Chin nodded, it is true that this is more in line with the theme of our variety show, the dialogue between ancient and modern times, and it is better than Yin Huang's own dreams. The picture flowed instantly, and the space-time gap was split by the sword of Lonke. It is a tall building rising from the ground. It's an airplane rocket going straight into the sky. It is a submarine warship that spans the 4 seas. It was a deafening salute of fireworks. This is the Great Xia Empire in the new century. The brand new picture scrolls 1,500 years later unfolded one after another, and all of them are presented in front of Yin Huang at this moment. Whether it is visual or emotional shock, it is huge. This special effect, this is the invitation of Glenn's top special effects team, right? Daziatai is awesome, not to mention the full marks for the lines, the plot design is really unique. I cried, I really want him to see today. The young emperor woke up from a long dream. In front of him is no longer the modern age with rapid development of high technology, but he has returned to the Great Xia dynasty where the war has just ended and everything is about to recover. I dreamed that after thousands of years, the mountains and rivers will be peaceful and the people will be safe. He smiled purely, this is the first time I have seen this world. Afterwards, he sighed softly, unfortunately, this is just a dream. The feeling of melancholy and loneliness in his body came over thousands of years, but everyone's body and mind were shaken. This is not a dream, this is real. I'm crying to death, this is the great Xiaozu that you brought down. If I die, please scatter my ashes in the river and sea. He slowly closed his eyes, let me drift with the wind and see the prosperity of the mountains and rivers in the future. He coughed again, and blood oozed from the corner of his lips bit by bit. The hearts of all the audience in front of the screen tugged. And at this moment, the fire exploded, devouring the young emperor. All returned to nothingness. The audience is also anxious. Why is it on fire? Stop. Could this be the reason why Emperor Yin didn't have a tomb? Yes, he is Emperor Yin, he has to control his life. I cried, as if it really happened, the actor saw it, what about him? At the end of the picture, the frame is fixed at Si standing in the snow looking into the distance, and the young emperor looking back from the sky. She said softly, Your Majesty, you have seen it? The Yin Huang chapter is over. No one can come back to God. Even director Qin, who has already seen the scene once and participated in the post-production, has been immersed in this dialogue that spans ancient and modern times for a long time. Old Qin, something big has happened. At this moment, the assistant director hurried in. Our viewership, calculated worldwide, has exceeded 3.7 billion. Director Qin's eyes widened suddenly, what did you say? There are a total of 7 billion people in the world, and not all families watch variety shows. Not to mention, there is a time difference of several hours between some countries and the Great Xia Empire, and it is still early in the morning. The highest viewership of the International Football Cup is only 2.8 billion. This is a national movement. Director Qin knew that Yin Huang's popularity was definitely the highest, but he didn't expect it to be so high. Really, the assistant director danced and danced, it exploded, everything exploded. Hashtag Yin Huang hashtag. Hashtag Uzion hashtag. Hashtag fairy acting hashtag. Even if the time zone of each country is different, the major social platforms around the world have exploded in turn. This is the Emperor Yin that my ancestor mentioned in the book. No wonder Daxia was so powerful at that time. With such a man, it was not unfair to lose. Yin Huang's pattern is very big. After he went, the Daxia dynasty received envoys from various countries, and did not hesitate to spread the technology of Daxia. Dongsang is popular in yin yang and five elements, but the Ji family is the originator. The world was shocked. At the same time, in the CPKAHWA of the selfish couple. Brothers and sisters, food is coming, the first phase is full of food. Damn it, my cult CP is resurrected. I see who will dare to say that this is a cult in the future. It is true. In the villa. After seeing the final product, SI fucking also fell into a struggling mood. Uzian suddenly called her again, ching ching. SI fucking rubbed his eyes quickly, ninth brother. Look, he pointed to Hot Search and CP Chow Chow, and said unhurriedly, facts have proved that serving the country with loyalty and promises with one's body can be carried out at the same time. SI fucking. Black-hearted monster, destroying her touch. I really don't want you to cry anymore, he sighed and said in a low voice, I'm fine, just touch and see. He took her hand and slowly pressed it to his face. The skin is warm. The heart is also moving. SI fucking kneaded his face into dough with bad intentions. I know, you have seen it with your own eyes, it's not a dream, you must have thought that I lied to you. Uzian let her rub it, and smiled. I was actually thinking at the time, my obsession is too strong, and the dreams I made are so real. This is not a dream, this is what she showed him. He held her hand, only touch the face. SI fucking realized that there was a gradual downward trend, and quickly withdrew his hand. You don't want to use this to deceive me. He corrected her with a smile, this is not cheating, this is exercising your rights as a girlfriend in an open and above-board manner. SI fucking buried his head in the pillow, knowing that you are Empress Yin, I really can't do it. Yeah, he responded lightly, I'll help you. SI fucking. Do your courtiers and common people know that you are so badass? Eventually, she managed to slip back into the bedroom. The next day, SI fucking went to Daxia Terrace. Mr. SI, congratulations. The ratings of this episode of Yin Huang chapter have blown away your own ratings record. Director Qin was beaming, sure enough, only you can beat you. I thought the ratings of the female general of Zhenguo were already high enough. Yin Huang Pian tripled in size. While happy, Director Qin is also very sad. This issue is so hot, how should we shoot the next issue? He told SI fucking his worries. SI fucking was silent for a moment. It starts with Zhenguo's female general, and it will end here. Director Qin's expression brightened. Yes, there is still Zhang Ziyu who hasn't filmed it, but Mr. SI, you play Zhang Ziyu, who will play it? SI fucking smiled slightly, I want to film an episode, the dialogue between Emperor Yin and Zhang Ziyu. Qin Dao was shocked, I understand. He quickly went to the assistant director to discuss the last issue, and he couldn't restrain his excitement. Such a dialogue across time and space will definitely shock the world even more. Zhejiang, who finally ended his exile in the extreme north, came back with Feng San. Ninth brother, patriarch, Miss Si. After Zhejiang greeted each of them, his eyebrows beamed. Ninth brother, you and Miss Si played really well, I think you are Yin Huang himself. As soon as these words came out, he received the gazes of Si fucking and Mo Yanwen with deep meaning. Zhejiang's heart skipped a beat. Could it be that he said the wrong thing again? Uzian put down the teacup, I'm just thinking, when did you still have a brain? He said lonely. Good morning. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 811. With one word, the momentum suddenly rose. He just sat there quietly, without needing to say much, The emperor's demeanor was natural. Silence, still silence. Zhejiang's smile froze on his face, his eyes were dull, and he was dumbfounded. The same is true for Feng San. He widened his eyes and stammered, "Nine, brother Nine, it seems that today is not April Fool's Day. Isn't it April now?" "Oh," Yu Xian supported her head, "it seems that IQ is still not enough. Have you eaten fish recently?" Feng San and Zhejiang did find that their brains were not enough. Because they couldn't understand Yu Xian's words. Mo Yanwen smiled, "They used to call His Majesty Ninth Brother Happy. Every time the first elder and I heard them shouting like that, we were terrified. Because he and the first elder knew Yu Xian's identity, they were more in awe." Feng San and 11 Zhang did not have this kind of pressure. "It's just a title, don't worry too much about it." Yu Xian smiled lightly, "Yanfen and I are also called brothers in private. Yanwen, you can just call me Aju." Mo Yanwen's expression froze for a moment, "Please let me take it easy." Finally, Zhejiang couldn't bear it, and with a plop, he sacrificed his knee. Feng San didn't kneel, but because his body was so stiff that he couldn't even control his behavior. "What are you kneeling for?" Yu Xian twitched her brows, "It's not the Great Xia dynasty anymore, so there's no need to kneel." As he spoke, he pinched the cheek of the girl beside him and fed her a piece of chocolate. "Si fucking was choked, you don't want to dismantle the human setup openly." Yeah, he also complied calmly, "Go back and collapse in private." Zhejiang stretched out his hand tremblingly, "Feng San, you wake me up, quick, pinch me." He actually called Yinhuang, the eternal emperor, 9 brothers. Does he deserve it? Stand up. The 2 words were plain and unremarkable, but immediately made Zhejiang stand up. He was still trembling all over, and opened his mouth, "Your Majesty." Yu Xian said lightly, "This is the reason why I don't want others to know." Si fucking blinked, "After all, you are everyone's Baiyu Egwang male god." He suddenly turned around and smiled, "It's yours too." Of course, you are. Si fucking was about to praise him like before, when he suddenly realized a problem. She turned her head slowly and looked at Mo Yanwen. Mo Yanwen felt a real murderous intent falling on him, "Miss Si. Mr. Mo, there is something I think I need to discuss with you." Si fucking moved his wrist and smiled slightly, "You know the identity of Brother Nine, but those who witness the death of my society must not do this. Let it go easily. Come on, let's learn from each other." Mo Yanwen. Zhejiang couldn't hold back, and laughed out loud. He tried his best to cover his mouth, but he couldn't control the subconscious reaction of his body. Mo Yanwen raised his eyes, "Zhejiang, it seems that your life is too easy. Go to the Mahist Trick City for training for a month, and reflect on yourself." Canyoning. Did he just come out of the tiger's den and into the wolf's den? After Feng San waited for Mo Yanwen to be taken away by Si fucking, he gloated and said, "You deserve it. He has learned to behave well, and he must not make random noises." But what happened today shocked him too much, and he needed to run 2 laps to slow down. Night. Si fucking returned to the villa with the supper. "I'm back." Yu Xian put away the map, "Where's Yanwen? It's just threatening him to make me a no shadow needle." Si fucking sat down, "He's your man, how could I really know how to do it?" Yu Xian just looked at her with a smile. Dang dang, Si fucking suddenly took out a bunch of candied haws from behind, "The candied haws I bought for you. I remember when you were young, you would look at the old man who sold the candied haws in a daze, so I couldn't buy them for you then." Yu Xian was stunned, "You also remember so clearly." It's not that he likes candied haws. It was because during those years of wandering outside the palace, he could always see his parents buying candied haws for their children. Always be envious. "You can remember 2 lifetimes, but it's only 1 year for me." Si fucking said cheerfully, "Of course it's very clear, eat it, it's my favorite glutinous rice with hawthorn sandwich." Yu Xian took it, Her heart burning hot, yes. Now, someone bought him candied haws. What else does he need to ask for? I made an agreement with director Chin that Zhang Ziyu and Yin Huang will be filmed in the last episode of Great Xia Treasure. I fucking put his hands together, I'll trouble you to accompany me in another episode. Yu Ziyan quickly understood what she meant. The current timeline is also approaching Xiao Ziyu. I fucking was silent for a moment. Well, as long as it's war and predetermined death, I can't stop it. She wanted to see Zhang Ziyu, but she didn't want to. She didn't want to see Zhenguo's female general die in battle like that. Yu Ziyan knew that this was her not in her heart, but he couldn't help her on this matter, so he said, "Thank you for your hard work." The phone ringing broke the silence. Si Fu returned to his senses and picked it up. "Hi, Sister Sang." "Ching ching, congratulations." Sang Yanking was very happy. "I have been shortlisted for the Nine Heavens Award again. This time, the Nine Heavens Award will be presented at the Great Xia Empire. Prepare your acceptance speech." Si fucking's fox eyes lit up. Ding, another bonus has arrived. Soon, corresponding hot searches appeared on the internet. Hashtag nominated for the Nine Heavens Award again. Hashtag The first international Grand Slam queen is about to be born. Hashtag everyone knows that this time, she will completely conquer the world in the field of TV dramas. The other side. T18 Daxia branch. Shimon and his group are also watching Si fucking's variety show. Xiaju's variety shows are pretty good. Yun Ying rubbed her chin thoughtfully. It makes me want to participate in variety shows too. Yu Ejian coughed lightly. Brother, I think people like us should stop harming ordinary audiences. She pointed to Si fucking, who was tying a bow knot for a boa constrictor in 66 days to survive. Is there any problem? Yunying glanced at it. It's quite fun. Seeing the moon. So sure enough, the senior brother definitely had a great contribution to bring down the junior sister. She has to go to the back row. Jingle bell. A pleasant bell rang. Yunying glanced at Tan Jingmo. Tan Jingmo made a gesture, picked up the phone and walked out graciously. Hello? Well, I'm outside. Tan Jingmo's tone was loose. Oh, you also know that I like the history of Great Xia. Isn't this a historical variety show? Great Xia Treasure, recently released by the Great Xia Empire. Hearing this, Meng Suanke nodded clearly. Second senior brother really likes these, and you still have the full set of The Legend of Yinhuang on your bookshelf. Freedom Island doesn't broadcast variety shows outside the continent, so I had no choice but to come out. Tan Jingmo smiled slightly. Why did 8th junior brother suddenly call me? It's not like your personality. Meng Suanke is quiet and indifferent, good at piano, chess, calligraphy, and painting, and also proficient in tea drinking culture. He is 2 years younger than him, and has never had a sense of presence in the teacher's school. But she has the closest relationship with Yunjin. Whenever Yunjin had anything to do, she always notified them through Meng Suanke. This time Yunjin closed the closed door, and Meng Suanke also protected her. Second senior brother Meng Suanke suddenly turned serious. Master told me that he is about to leave the customs soon. He said that he succeeded and would bring good news to everyone. Call ended. What's wrong? Yunying raised her chin slightly. Little friend, you look like the sky is about to fall. It's Lao Ba. Tan Jingmo held the phone with a solemn expression. Lao Ba said that the master is about to leave the customs, and he will bring us good news. With a snap, Yunying held the wine spoon in his hand. His expression was indifferent, without any emotion. Oh, it's time to go out, it's finally time to go out. Yu Jian's eyes changed slightly. If the master leaves the customs, then the one from the Holy Light Tribunal. Yet Tan Jingmo said lightly, he came out too. 12.10, today is Kinking's birthday. Happy birthday to her. Wow. She has finally reached a positive result with His Majesty. 3 equals. See you tomorrow.